Let us start now. See, today's topic in our ethics syllabus is emotional intelligence. As you know, nowadays, direct questions are not being asked, mostly from ethics topics. However, conceptual understanding of these topics is essential, because then only you will be able to answer the case studies properly and also attempt the theoretical questions properly. So, see, this emotional intelligence, most of you may be knowing, is a very, very important topic, and a recent, basically, in fact, this concept itself was developed in 1990s uh, to basically modulate leadership behaviors, and also the behavior of civil servants in administration. So in human psychology also, this is a quite recent applied concept as far as emotional intelligence is concerned. So we'll try to understand in this class basics or various aspects. We'll have a 360-degree regarding emotional intelligence. So our emphasis will be understanding the concept mainly. And if sometimes direct questions rarely comes, but yeah, sometimes it may come also. Daniel Goleman concepts and some other concepts, but usually indirect questions are coming, or 2 or 3 topics combined questions are coming, and applied questions are more and more coming in GS4 paper. But the understanding of this topic is very important for case studies as well as for uh, theoretical questions answers, which are more of applied nature nowadays compared to direct answers. So first we'll try to understand what is this concept. So you see, emotional intelligence refers to capacity to perceive, understand, regulate, and ethically use emotions. So basically, this is use of emotions, the main, both of one's own and those of others, to guide thought, behavior, and decision making. So this is a very, uh, easy way of understanding emotional intelligence. Uh, and Unlike raw intelligence, this is contextual, relational, and moral. So, in every subtopic also we'll try to also link it, how it relates with public administration or civil services or civil servant, and particularly UPSC GS4 paper. So, for a civil servant, this EI concept, what it affects is how power is exercised, how rules are applied, and how people are treated. So, all these, in a way, is also modulated by the concept of emotional intelligence. Usually, decisions are taken by mind and accepted by heart. So EI is required to create a bridge between the two. So this is where this emotional intelligence is very useful concept for governance. Now, as I told, this is a concept of 1990s. So earlier, Peter Soloway and John Mayer, they introduced this concept uh, as cognitive ability related to emotions. But the main development came with Daniel Goleman in 1995. He basically, he tried to use it in applied sense, linking it with leadership, ethics, and workplace effectiveness. So, in UPSC GS4, largely we concentrate, or we will be focusing on Goleman's applied emotional intelligence concept. Now, definitions you can find in the books also. I have also taken from that. Goleman has defined EI as the ability to recognize our own emotions and those of others, motivate ourselves, and manage emotions effectively in relationships. So a number of issues are there, because not only you recognize your own emotions, but others' emotions also, and then manage effectively these emotions in relationships between oneself and others. Now, Solvay and Mayer, earlier than Goldman, they have defined EI as the ability to monitor and use emotional information to guide thinking and action. Now we'll go to Goldman's definition. Goldman has given 5 components of EI, which you may be knowing already if you have gone through this Goldman's definition. So he has given a 5-fold model or 5 components of emotional intelligence. Now, what are they and how they are applicable to civil services or civil servants or administration? Let us see that. See, first is self-awareness. Now, what does it mean, self-awareness? It means awareness of one's own emotions, values, motives, biases, strength, and limitations. So this is self-awareness. That a civil servant, an officer, or any individual is aware about his own emotions, his own values, his own motives, so that he can accordingly control, modulate as per requirement. Now, what is its ethical significance? Now, if one knows about oneself fully, now this prevents self-deception, moral blindness, and egocentric governance. So this is ethical significant as far as administrative use of this self-awareness is concerned. Now, if you want to take some administrative examples, I have taken that also. For example, a district magistrate, if he recognizes his personal bias while handling communal tension, so then he will be able to handle that communal tension more effectively, because he will not fall in the trap of his own personal biases. So this is very, very important. Similarly, accepting mistakes in policy implementation. If one knows self-aware, then he will be able to accept easily if some mistake is committed, and then later on anyway rectify those mistakes. Without self-awareness, what will happen? Power becomes arrogance, authority becomes entitlement. So officer becomes arrogance, that is going to affect the administration adversely. Second component which Goldman has listed is self-regulation. So first is you find out about yourself, that is self-awareness, and then second is self-regulation. What does it mean? It means ability to manage anger, fear, stress, frustration, and impulses. So basically, first component is you know your emotions. Second component is manage your emotions. Now, what are its ethical relevance? It protects objectivity, fairness, rule of law under pressure. Because normally rule of law anybody follows, but under pressure, if you are following, then it means you are controlling your emotions also. You are self-regulating your emotion also, or emotional intelligence also. Now, if you want to take administrative context, this is useful in crowd control situations, media provocation, because nowadays media provocation is immense in field. If you take administrative field, almost daily there will be some or other media provocation. Then political interference, this is also very, very important. High pressure crisis management, for example, disasters may be there, riots may be there, cyclones may be there, floods may be there. So all those cases where high pressure crisis management is there, this self-regulation becomes very, very important. So what EI does is basically do not suppress your emotions, discipline them or regulate them. So this is self-regulation. Now, third component is motivation, that is inner ethical drive. What does it mean? The motivation means commitment to goals beyond personal gain status, reward, or fear. So you are not afraid of your transfers. You are not afraid of any, your bosses will become unhappy, but still you are committed to goal. You are committed to constitutional values. So that kind of motivation is third component. So now in civil services, what is its value? It is linked with public service motivation, resilience, and perseverance. Now, ethical dimensions, if you want to take, acting rightly even when there is no appreciation, there is a risk to your career, results are delayed. So in all these cases, without fear and favor, you are acting in a very committed manner. So this is third component. Now, this component connects EI with integrity. Integrity is another foundational value, might have already studied. Similarly, empathy also is very, very important foundational value. This already we have in foundational values of civil services, we have done it, but this is also how emotional intelligence, as per Daniel Goleman, all these values connect with emotional intelligence. Now, empathy, very, very important and critical component of any civil servant. I mean, this is also critical for emotional intelligence, but otherwise also in foundational values of civil servants, this empathy is very, very important. What its meaning? Meaning is ability to understand others' emotions, perspectives, and lived realities. Now, UPSC in interview may be there, or even in GS4 paper, the huge emphasis is on there on empathy. Why? Because governance in India operates in diverse, unequal, and emotionally charged society. So in this situation, any kind of good governance will require an empathetic officer. Now, what is administrative relevance of this empathy? This is very, very useful for welfare delivery, because most of the officers are involved in welfare delivery. Tribal administration, SC/ST administration, you can say. Gender justice, disability inclusion, victim-centric policing. But again, this is very important. Empathy is not equal to sympathy. This we have already discussed while foundational values chapter. But this again, we want to just clarify. Empathy is not same as sympathy. Empathy understands suffering without losing objectivity. So this is very, very important. Now, fifth component for Daniel Goleman is social skills. Now, this means ability to manage relationships between different subordinates, different other institutions, maybe press, maybe public. So ability to manage relation or other clients as well, other beneficiaries as well. So ability to manage relationships, influence, negotiate, and resolve the conflicts. So this is a these are the subcomponents of, you can say, social skills. Now, what is the key areas for this? First is team leadership, because if you are socially skilled, you will be a good leader. You will keep your subordinates motivated. Then interdepartmental coordination. This is hugely required in field, I can tell you, because unless you get the interdepartmental support and coordination, many programs and schemes will not be successful. So this is very, very important, and this depends on your social skills. Then center-state relations, then public communication, conflict resolution. Now, I mean, how it is related to ethical leadership? It combines authority with trust and power with persuasion. So these are basically 5 components which has been listed by Daniel Goleman, and which very, very key components important as far as the EI is concerned. Now, before we proceed further, there are now 3 terms which are very, very similar kind of terms. Let us try to understand how they differ with each other. One is emotional intelligence, then emotional quotient, and then intelligence quotient. These 3 terms, how they differ with each other, let us try to understand this, because this is very, very significant and interesting also. I will give you a chart. For example, IQ, EQ, and EI. And now, IQ, intelligence quotient, what does it mean? It means ability to think logically and solve the problems. EQ, what does it mean? It means score showing emotional ability. EI, what does it mean? It means ability to understand and manage emotions. So these all 3 are different. And this anyway, IQ is different, but EQ and EI, sometimes people try to confuse with these 2 terms. But these 2 are also quite different. EQ means a score showing some emotional ability, but EI is ability to understand and manage emotions. Now, what does it focuses? IQ focuses mind and intellect. EQ is basically measuring thinking, what is your emotional ability. EI focuses basically behavior and decision making. What it deals with, this is 3rd point. IQ deals with logic, memory, and reasoning. EQ deals with emotional score of an individual. EI deals with emotions, that is self plus others. Nature, what is its nature? IQ is mostly fixed. EQ, yes, it can be improved. EI can be developed also. I mean, it also can be improved. How it is seen ethical, how it is seen. IQ is seen through exams, EQ through various tests, and EI through actions. Now, what is ethical role in administration, if you want to say? IQ, very little role. EQ is also limited role, but EI becomes very, very key and important factor as far as ethical administration is concerned. And if you want to understand all the three in a very brief one-line sentence, then IQ is basically how smart or how intelligent you are. EQ is how emotionally capable you are. And EI, how well you handle emotions in real life, not only of your own, but of others as well. Now, why UPSC? Because UPSC always talks about EI, not of UQ. Because UPSC does not test in any form the emotional scores. Because IQ is anyway tested in the exam, preliminary exam, as well as part of main exam also. EI, there is a paper, ethics paper, and also an interview also. Now, UPSC tests behavior, judgment, humanness, ethical maturity, and all this, you can say in a broad sense, are components of emotional intelligence, or affected by emotional intelligence. Now, if you want to take one example, one or two examples, an officer may have high IQ, but without EI, that is emotional intelligence, he may be rude to citizens, he may lose temper, he may take rigid decisions. But an officer with high EI, that is emotional intelligence, will remain calm, will listen patiently, and also will apply law with sensitivity, or even implement welfare schemes with a lot of empathy and sensitivity. Now, what is the role of emotional intelligence in ethical governance? Let us try to understand that. In brief, I mean, because here we are talking everything in a very concise and brief manner, but I have tried to cover almost all aspects pertaining to intelligence, emotional intelligence. Detail, we have already in the first class, we prescribed several books. You can go through those books, but after reading these books, whatever notes you will prepare, this is in that form, I can say. So that, I mean, this very, very briefly that we are covering comprehensively the whole topic. So now let us see role of emotional intelligence in ethical governance. First is ethical decision making. It helps in balancing rules versus human consequences, efficiency versus compassion, law versus justice. These are examples. There are other things also, but this is a few examples. Then in leadership and administration, an emotionally intelligent officer inspires the team and his subordinates, reduces burnout, handle failure constructively, because number of failures will come. Number of schemes may fail, or your implementation strategy may fail. So how you will handle that failure constructively, that also is related to EI. Then conflict resolution is very, very critical. A number of conflicts and issues will come, keep on coming. So if you are emotionally stable, if you are having high EI, definitely you are going to solve or resolve these conflicts, communal disputes, farmer protests, land acquisition conflicts, law and order challenges. These are few. So EI is very crucial here. Then citizen trust and legitimacy. This is another useful, component where EI is required. Polite behavior, patience, listening, all this will, if you are having EI, all this will be reflected. And it converts authority into legitimacy. This is very, very important. Now, emotional intelligence, as I told in the beginning itself, usually direct questions now they are avoiding. But this topic is very, very critical as far as case studies is concerned. And also, even theoretical questions are concerned. in different way. I mean, even if applied questions are asked, it's very, very useful. So emotional intelligence, if you see in GS4 case studies, because case studies often they involve anger, fear, grief, pressure, moral distress, and all these are, affected by EI. So you have to link these emotions or these traits of an officer with EI and then properly explain. Now, what a high scoring answer, particularly in case studies, will show: emotional understanding, ethical reasoning, administrative feasibility, and long-term institutional trust. So these components, if are included in any answer in case studies, you are going to definitely get good marks. So EI basically transforms a correct decision into an acceptable decision. So because legally decisions may be correct, but unless those decisions are ethically correct, maybe the various clients or various even public press or even political leadership may not accept it easily. Now, see, the emotional intelligence and core civil service values. I already told there are several foundational values of civil services. There is another topic also, chapter also, we have already seen that. So how those values are linked with EI. Already one or two we have seen, empathy and others. Now here we see integrity is linked with emotional consistency. Objectivity is linked with regulated emotions. Impartiality is linked with bias awareness. Compassion is linked with empathy in action. Accountability is linked with self-reflection. So basically, EI is a psychological foundation of ethical values of a civil servant. So, in fact, whatever phrases have been used here, whatever sentences have been used here, that also can form part of your answers while practicing. So that will be also very useful. And good terms have been used. I have intentionally used that. And usually those terms I have made in bold letters also, so that you can easily understand them. Now, how emotional intelligence can be developed or moderated, or because there are several mechanisms, because IQ, it's difficult to develop, or it's difficult to, almost it's fixed, but emotional intelligence, yes, it can be done. So how it can be done? Now, individual level, if you are self-reflection and introspection is one step can be there. Mindfulness, emotional journaling, so feedback mechanisms. So all these, if at individual level steps are taken by any officer or by any individual, perhaps EI can be made better. Institutional level ethics training, nowadays, as you know, in even several academies, including National Academy in Missouri and various state academies, ethics training has been introduced. There they are giving case studies as far as emotional intelligence is concerned or ethics is concerned. So this ethics training, then case study simulations, leadership mentoring, because seniors will be there, some good officers will be there. They start mentoring junior officers, that also helps a lot. Then supportive work culture. If some good decision is taken, some correct decision is taken, ethically correct decision is taken, if you get support from your seniors, support from your political leadership, that helps a lot. So basically, EI is trainable. With training, it can be improved, unlike IQ. Now, very briefly, I would like to tell you Indian philosophical perspective, because sometimes what happens, usually we in philosophy, philosophy of religion and even socio-political philosophy components, we quote usually Western philosophers. But my request, my suggestion will be there. Please uh, find out what is the link in Indian philosophical systems and try to quote relevant the quotations or references from Indian systems also. That will be, basically that will fetch you better marks. So as far as emotional intelligence is concerned, if you want to see what are Indian philosophical perspective of EI, few examples, because not very great work has been done, but yes, still it's there. So those references we can remember and we can try to mention whenever required in the answers. See, in Bhagavad Gita, there is a concept of sthit pragya, which means it's emotional balance. So this is one concept. Then second, in Buddhism, we have concept of mindfulness and compassion, that is karuna. Then Gandhian ethics, emotional restraint, empathy, and non-violence. These are very, very important qualities which have been preached by and practiced by Gandhi. So Gandhian ethics also reflects a lot of EI characteristics. So Indian philosophy basically treats EI as a moral maturity, sorry, not merely skill. Now, almost in the end, we will try to see what common UPSC answering mistakes are done by various students, sorry, which should be avoided. Many candidates or students write EI as a soft skill. This is not correct. Then ignoring case study. This is also, I've already emphasized more than once that for case studies and even for theoretical answers, mentioning EI wherever required is very, very critical and important. Then psychological jargon without ethics. It's not there. It's psychological, yes, psychological concept, applied psychological concept, you can say, but with a very, very close link with ethical administration. And no administrative examples. In fact, if students don't give administrative examples, recent administrative examples, live administrative examples, you are going to miss the marks. So this is very, very important. Now, for 150-word theoretical answers, you have to very briefly give introduction, because I keep on telling, even though introduction is required, but in 150-word question, sometimes introduction should be of one line or one sentence, not more than that, because if you give more than one line or one sentence, you are going to eat away the words from the main exposition thing, and which is not correct. Then main body of answers, component, role of in ethical decision making, and even administrative examples. Then you can include references, you can include important phrases and sentences. In conclusion, you have to link EI with efficiency, ethics, and empathy. So if you write like this, you are going to definitely get better marks. This example has been given, but so basically what I want to say is, even though direct questions are not asked nowadays from topics, more applied questions are asked, more questions are asked from 2 or 3 topics combined. But particularly for case studies or even for applied questions, this concept of emotional intelligence is very, very important. I hope that today's class has helped to have a 360-degree view of emotional intelligence. Now we'll meet in next class. Thanks a lot for participating.